Hi, Cindy. Hi, Susan. Can you guys hear me okay?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Brandy, can you hear me?
No. I don't think I can hear you guys, or I don't think you guys can hear me.
I hear you.
Oh, you do? Oh,
Yes,
Can you hear me
okay.
now?
Yes, I can hear both of you.
Okay, first, when you find
Susan, you went back on mute, Chica. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Brandy, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
You have a good weekend?
Yes, ma'am. Had a very good weekend. How about you?
I had a good weekend. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Message says we're not allowed to unmute. Message says host won't allow me to unmute. Oh, that's weird. Ask to.
okay, now I just unmuted, but when you said I went dead, it muted me again automatically. I didn't touch anything.
Super weird.
And when I first joined, it said the host won't let you. So anyway, hello.
Hi.
While I'm not muted, hello.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's fine. Well, leaving my mic open now, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, Zoom and Google Meet and whatever other technologies, they're all a little finicky sometimes.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
I thought it was always just me.
Well, in your case.
Exactly. That's fair. Not that the rest of the crowd needs to know that, but that's okay.
Let's see. All right, guys. We'll get started here. Today, we're going to talk about Activator. Last week, we talked about Achiever, right? Yes. So one of the biggest differences, and this is one of the hardest things for people to get right in their minds, is that achievers are finishers. They're motivated by getting something done. They will put together their to-do list and they want to check things off and get it over the finish line. Activators are motivated and excited by getting something started. So they start stuff. Okay. They are only found 10% of the time, meaning that people with this in their top 5 strengths are, that's only happens around 10% of the time. So you can see achievers are found much more frequently. And that's sometimes why I think getting things done is more respected or looked highly upon than getting things started, which is to me equally important. But I think because you have more people in this world that get things done, then you're going to see more people think that that's the right way to do it or the best way to do it or the thing that should be happening. When in reality, we need both. We need people that get things started really well, and we need, and you need people that get things over the finish line. It does fall into the orange category. So Achiever falls into the purple, which is the execution or get things done category, where the orange is the influence. It's getting people to do something that they would not have done otherwise. And an activator does that by giving everybody that little nudge that they need. So I don't know if you guys have ever worked with an activator, but they nudge you. They give you the little push, the little nudge that you need to get going, to get started, to get moving. And when we place it on this graph, it's kind of hard to know where it fits. But where I think it fits the best is in the zone where projects are getting started or are getting moved. Now, activators don't necessarily know the direction yet, but once they understand the direction, then they can get everybody going and get everybody pushed and get everybody moving in that direction. Now, if a person has both a directive and the activator strength, then they might do both, right? Like the CEO that I worked for last year, he had futuristic, so he set the direction. He had communication, so he's communicating the direction. He had strategic, so he's setting the direction, and then he's activating. And so he had both of those, but not all activators have directive strengths. Okay, so here's the traits. An activator takes action immediately and makes things happen. They don't like to plan. They naturally lead the way, and they naturally make things happen. Their process can be messy. It can be just like a plow that pushes and pushes forward to get things started, and then just leaves this trail of things that need to be organized, that need to be finished, that need to be taken care of, okay? Where they're best is when they are turning the things that you talk about or ideas into immediate action. So you have to be really careful with activators, because if you tell them something, they're going to take immediate action on it. And so it's not the personality to sit there and have a discussion with and decide the best path, because for them, the first or second thing that you say is what needs to happen, and they're just going to go immediately take action. Now you might go, well, why do they do that? Well, because for them, when they take actions, they now inform their own thinking about what was right or wrong, or what's good or bad, or what works or doesn't work. It's the action itself that tells them where that thing stands. And they don't really care about failing or taking an action and it not working. If it doesn't work, they just kind of go, oh, well, that didn't work. Let's not do that again. And they just move on, and they move on very quickly. And so for them, what they respect is people taking the action, just taking action. It doesn't even have to be the right thing. It just has to be action, so that we can then get our thinking informed about what worked and what didn't work, but at least something is being done. And with that attitude, they're brilliant in situations that are just bogged down, or there's analysis paralysis going on, or there's some sort of bottleneck. Like they just say, I don't care what moves, let's just get something moving, because at least if we get movement, then we're going to learn something, and then we can just make more movement, make more waves, and keep moving forward. So some people really take offense to this type of process, because it isn't clean, it is a bit messy, and it is a bit jarring, and it is fast, and it is changed very quickly. But if you embrace this, then you can really have a fast moving organization where you are not, sitting on your laurels trying to figure out whether something is right or wrong, but you're just testing things out and experimenting and seeing what the result is, and then you can just keep moving through it. Now, you wouldn't want them to be necessarily on something that needs to be extremely detailed, and it needs to be right or exact, kind of like maybe astrophysics, right? You really, there's a lot of time that needs to be taken to get that right. But you do want them anywhere where you need movement, you need motion, and it doesn't have to be, detailed or perfect. Have you guys worked with someone like this? Thoughts? Questions?
I have a sister that is somewhat like this.
Yeah, I think she has activator in her top 5, actually.
That doesn't surprise me.
And my dad also has activator in his top 5.
So, I just pulled up my 34, which I thought activator would have been higher, but it's actually way down at 23.
And what you're sensing is your achiever.
Yeah.
Because your achiever is making the list and wanting to get things done.
So they look somewhat alike.
They get confused. People get them confused, because they're both action oriented, but the achiever actually wants to finish something and cross it off and get it done and get it over the finish line. An activator does not care about that, Brad. An activator is just like, let's get going, let's get moving, let's just get it started. That's all they care about. They just care about momentum, action, motion.
Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh.
I think my sister has both.
Nope.
No?
Nope. She has other things that are driving her to maybe get things done over the finish line, but it's not achiever. She has discipline, for example, which means that she, is very structured as well, right? So she's a structured activator. She's activating organization, for example.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to, at times it's hard to get her to slow down because it can't all be done and activated and then and started and arranged all at once. That's where that's where messy comes in.
Right.
In that aspect.
But it's funny, right? Because she's also organized. So she has this messy part of it where she just start. But then she also comes in and actually executes and executes certain things, right? Like organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should be called whirlwind.
Yeah. And when I worked for Jack, who's an activator, number 5, that's what it was like. I mean, because all he's doing is activating, and it's up to us to go bring those things to life. But then he changed too, right? The whirlwind changes directions. And so it's like you take action and then you take action, then you take action. And sometimes it feels like, well, we're not being very productive here because we keep wasting time on taking action on things that actually we don't end up doing. But the brilliance of it is, but we keep moving, right? We keep moving forward. We don't just stop and not do anything. Like we got way more done with just taking action, even if some of those actions were wasted.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you can imagine, activator is extremely intense and it does intensify other strengths. Now, Brad, if you had activator and achiever, you would be extremely intense, right? Getting things started, getting things crossed off the list, getting things finished. My father actually has both activator and achiever. So the number of things that he gets started and the number of things that he gets finished in a week is tremendous. And on top of it, he has competition. So he's just a machine. If you have adaptability in activator, you're going to be highly flexible because you just want motion and movement, but you're also living in the moment and being spontaneous and adjusting and adapting to the winds and the needs of the moment. So you're going to be extremely flexible with activator adaptability. If you have activator command, you have zero fear. You have zero fear of the repercussions. You have zero fear of making mistakes. You have zero fear of conflict. Activators obviously want action now and competition wants to be first. So you can imagine a person with activator and competition, like my dad, all moves extremely fast. And then if you're an activator developer, this is a really good coach because not only are you able to nurture and grow somebody and help them take the next steps or the incremental growth, but you're giving them the nudge and that influence and what they need to actually take the next step. Does anybody in here have activator today?
I have activator 8.
Number 8. Do you relate with anything we're talking about, Mariana?
I'm achiever 1. So I want to say early on, I think I was more of an achiever activator. Every time I do have a coach and they always say, I see activator, I see activator, I see activator. So I don't know what stirred that. I feel like I'm an activator more than an achiever, but I still finish it. I do not finish it though. So I am pretty intense.
Yeah. Yeah. Think of an activator as someone who just starts all those projects, but none of them are getting done unless they have something else that gets it done, like focus, achiever, discipline, competition.
My activator's 17, but my adaptability is number 1.
Yeah, your adaptability is super high. Activator and self-assurance, when they're paired together, makes a very, very, very confident decision maker. Activator paired with strategic is also a very, very confident decision maker. And then when someone has activator and woo paired together, they have a high propensity to activate new connections and get them doing something that they wouldn't have done. So they're really high influencer if they have activator woo.
I have self-assurance 4.
Uh-huh.
And I could see that. That's probably why I could finish it, maybe.
And don't you have strategic in your top 10 too?
You know what? I do not. My strategic is 18.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes I'm the runaway train, like they say. So,
Yeah.
but I do have Woo in 10. So
Which green or strategic thinking strengths do you have?
oh my goodness, I don't think I have it colored here. I have Arranger and Includer, but those aren't.
Arranger is purple. That's execution. And to me, it kind of splits it, right? It's the kind of the green and the purple. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have responsibility and learner.
And that's purple. Okay, learner. Learner's your green. That's the one that's gonna learn strategies, learn analytics, learn stuff, and then be able to use it.
I mean, starting things I love starting things, but I do research before I start anything. So that kind of helps with the self-assurance as well, because I have whatever is supposed to back up what I'm trying to do.
Yes. Gotcha. Okay, so what you're gonna see, like if you see activator, it's likely, okay, that you see strategic nearby, but it's only 33%. So it's not like some of the other ones we've seen that are like 50% of the time. This one's just 33%. And then the one that you never ever see it with is deliberative. So someone that activates deliberation, because deliberation is take your time, slow, methodical, thinking through decisions, making sound decisions, where activators are like, I ain't got time for that. I'm just going to act and see what happens. And then I'll inform my decision making after I take the action to see if it was the right action or not. So completely different thought processes the two of those have. Now, when you do have them together, they counterbalance each other, right? There's lots of action going on, but there's also stop, wait, let's make a good decision. So when you see something like that together, you'll see that there's a balance. It's not so extreme. So activators are not going to do their best work with the heavy thinkers, analytical, context, deliberative, the people that are going to take the time, look back, take time to analyze. They're going to wait, a long time before they actually take action. Activate, that's going to drive an activator crazy. Even high communication where someone's just taking a long time to say something, activators are like, yeah, come on, let's go. There's, there's stuff that needs to be done. Activators are going to come across, guys, as impatient because they're just like, this is all a waste of time. We just need to act. That's how they think. And they also might have trouble with anyone that's super structured, like discipline, since they're non-structured and they just want to take action and see what happens and go with the flow. They could bump heads with someone who's requiring them to fit into a mold or follow rules or, have a lot of process. They're also not sensitive to empaths. So someone that's deeply empathetic and really thinks feelings are the most important thing. Activators, they don't mean to, but they kind of trample on feelings because it's, to them, the feeling doesn't really matter. It's the action that matters.
And we apologize in advance.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
my empathy is 34.
Yeah. Okay. Activators don't mind conflict. Doesn't bother them one bit, where harmony avoids conflict at all costs. So if an activator is pushing and pushing and pushing and, trying to talk and trying to do this and trying to do that with a harmony person's just going to go, right? It's like.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number 5.
Yeah. I bet that's fun with your sister then.
At times, yeah, it's been a riot.
Yeah. And then intellects also are deep thinkers. Activators act. So that's where they could potentially have conflict. Now, again, when we talk about these disconnectors, we're not saying that the two people won't get along at all. We're just saying when it comes to a certain area of life, they may have conflict in that area if they're approaching each other a certain way.
Yeah, me and my sister get along fabulously.
Right. Most
So-
of the time, but you know, as siblings, you're always going to have some areas of bumping heads as
True.
well. And then activators may work well with achievers because achievers really want to get things done. Activators really want to see action and motion. Activators are going to work great with anybody that's flexible. So high adaptability, arrangers. I should probably put ideation on here. I think activators work really well with ideators. And then, you know, high competition, people that just want to get things done, get them done fast, get them over the finish line fast. Okay, so obviously they're not going to be at their best in highly structured environments when people are taking their sweet time to make decisions, when they're not challenged, when the exposure is not high. You know, they're going to do best when they're appreciated, when their high sense of action is appreciated. So obviously in any type of situation where action or immediate action or the now factor, we'll call it, isn't warranted, they're not going to be successful there. It's going to be very frustrating for them. They're also the type of personality that needs to keep moving, needs to keep progressing. If you do manage one, you got to make sure that you keep having discussions about what they're going to get to do next, what projects they're going to do next, what are the next steps. If you don't stay ahead of that, they can start turning pretty negative and leave and go to another organization. So they're going to excel in environments that require a lot of action, like a startup. Also, if it's a turnaround situation or it's a bottleneck situation or something is just really stopped up, they can come in and bust that up and get things moving. And again, they're going to do really well in environments that don't require a lot of detail and that require a lot of, let's say, perfectionism or exactness. That's not going to be the best place for them. They need environments where they can just start stuff. So let's take an example, business development. They're great in business development because that's all you're doing in business development. You're starting the conversation, starting the relationship, starting that, you know, you're just trying to get people going and trying to get them influenced and in the door. Once they come on board and agree to sign up for the service or product, the activator lets go and lets the delivery implementation team have at it, and lets the quality assurance team have at it, and lets all those finishers take care of the rest of it. But the activator is just getting everything started, getting everything moving. So they love to hear that they have high energy, that they're able to get things going. They love to hear that they're able to, you know, I remember asking one of my activator friends, like, what was one of her favorite projects? And she said, oh, I, you know, went into this project and it was just sitting there for years. It had been doing nothing. And it was just, you know, bringing in very little revenue. And I just lit a fire under all of them and got them to see, she was also strategic, you know, got them to see how we could generate, you know, new and more revenue. And she just flipped that around so that it was a team of people and a service that actually produced significant revenue within a year. She did that. And that was one of her favorite things to do. Okay, so the things that they're going to hear sometimes, but also shuts them down is you know, you're too pushy, you're intimidating, you're impatient, you're a loose cannon, you're messy, you never finish anything, you have too much going on, you need to think before you act. These are things that activators have heard before. And then obviously they enjoy being recognized for being able to move things, move it fast, not waiting, having no fear. Jumping in and taking the next step. Little joke there, it's misspelled. Okay. So when they communicate, you're going to sense some impatience. They're going to want to move fast. They're going to want to talk fast. They're going to want to, you know, have a quick conversation. They're going to want to keep things moving and keep action happening rather than actually having the conversation. They're not great texters or emailers or communicators unless they also have communication in their top 5. So that can be challenging to have a conversation that clearly states the who, what, where, when, and why, how with an activator. And if we want to have an effective conversation with them, we need to speak quickly, decide what are the next steps, what needs to be done next, and just keep the conversation moving and keep our focus on movement and momentum and action, or the conversation will get boring to them quite quickly. Does anybody feel the intensity even as we're talking through this?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, I'm on it. Let's go. What do we got to do? What do we got to do next? What do we need to act on now?
My conversation at times gets lengthy, and I've had people actually look at me and make hand motions of, okay, yep, move on.
Yeah.
Yep. Get to the point.
But you're also high communication, correct?
Yes, number 3.
Yeah, so your communication is going to be, let me make sure you understand everything, the who, the why, the what, the where, the when, the how. Where an activator is like, I don't care about all of that. I just want to know what we need to do.
Yep.
So they are very naturally influential. They lead the way. They help people make things happen. They give them that nudge that they need to push them forward and to get going. They always bring a sense of energy and enthusiasm and momentum to the conversation. And they can see exactly what we need to do to get something moving. I think like where I've gone to them and got the most help is I'll go to them and say, I just don't know what to do next. I feel like this is held up and this is held up and this and this. And I'll say, I just don't know what to do next. And they know immediately what things to do next and what actions to take to just get stuff moving. And obviously, if you're going to try to sell to them or influence them, you need to say it real quick. And you need to hit on, why is this service or product going to allow them to act faster, take action, speed up their productivity, whatever it is. It needs to show them that it's going to help them take action faster. And just from working with an activator, they also love a fast implementation time. So if you say, these are the results we're going to get you, and then we can implement this within 3 or 4 weeks, they're like, let's go. And they'll just say, just go, just start. Okay, if any of you guys are activators and you would like to create some buy-in in the interview, there's a lot of things you can talk about how you've gotten things moving, and especially broken up, bogged down projects, and created and generated that momentum that helps teams push through some difficult times when there's a lot of questions or a lot of analysis going on. And then, these people will come in and create that motion that can talk about that in the interviews. If you're trying to kind of identify, am I dealing with an activator and do I need to, figure out how to engage this person? Just notice, are they really high energy? Are they a little impatient? Do they seem to give you nudges as they're talking to you? And do they seem to know how to get people to take action? If you're seeing all those things, it's highly likely that you're dealing with an activator. And if that's the case, then these are the words that you want to use: action, go, now, move, quick, fast, begin, start. Those are the types of things that you want to say when you are conversing with them.
Randy, does an activator also finish your sentences for you? Does that make sense?
I don't think they do, Brad.
Okay,
I don't think they do.
they wait for the final thought.
They're not really waiting. They're moving. They're already moving in their mind. They're
Ah,
moving. The personality that you're talking about that will finish your thought is the people that like to try to figure out what you're saying before you finished what you're saying. They're the more kind of intellectual types that are liking to solve the puzzle. So your strategic thinkers, your intellects, they're the ones that are, it's like they're entertaining themselves by guessing what they think you're going to finish your sentence with and say.
okay.
But activators aren't even, activators don't really like think like that. They're just moving. They're just in motion. They're just, let's go. They don't care about the thinking aspect. They just want to see things happening. They love like action-packed movies, like just action. I mean, they're a lot of times they are action junkies.
Ah, okay, thanks.
Okay, so for the activators, to build loyal and trust with others, you really need to explain your theory behind taking immediate action, because a lot of people don't relate with that. You know, as we can see, 90% of the population may not relate with the activators' need to just move. The collateral damage caused by quick actions may result in resentment from others. So the process and their process could be messy, and others may feel obligated to clean up after that, which could also make the activator be perceived as uncollaborative. So identify effective partnerships with people who understand that pushing people forward quickly may not be pretty, but keeps everything moving, and that they can then come in behind you and create long-standing processes. So I think what I'm trying to say here, guys, is that if an activator really does need to find people in their lives that understand them and that want to work with them and not against them, and aren't resentful and don't complain about their messy process. Someone that appreciates the fact that they get things started and get things moving much easier than most people do. You may neglect to finish what you have started. Find mutually beneficial partnerships where the expectation is that you get things started and they get them done. Continuously have discussions around new leadership opportunities with those around you so you don't get off track and become negative. By taking a few minutes to reflect and record your insights and revelations, you may more quickly see what is the most important step to take next. Avoid activity simply for activity's sake, which could waste time. Now, again, that's not really how an activator thinks. An activator thinks no action is wasted because you learn so much just from taking the action. However, I could see where an activator could get into a cycle of taking actions that really aren't applying to the significant picture or the big picture or the bigger impact, and really could be generating that action and motion and energy towards something more meaningful. When working with others, take the time to explain the purpose for the needed action to gain their buy-in. Recognize that pushiness may intimidate others or even be unwelcome. Diagnose a person's aptitude for your influence. So I think this is really important for activators to say, is my pushing actually going to get the person moving forward, or is it going to make them not move forward? Because that's not effective if you're pushing someone and then they do the opposite. When working with authority, provide reasons why your request for action must be granted. Again, authority isn't going to want to say yes to something unless they understand. So you do have to find ways to be able to explain why the action is needed. Okay, so as an activator, some things you can do to collaborate effectively is ask what the next steps are, because if everybody is in agreement or alignment to what those next steps are, then you taking action on those as an activator is actually a good thing. Obviously, jump in to break up any bottlenecks or unblock a stuck project or get involved in the turnaround situations. These are all good areas for activators to lend a hand. One of the things I've put on here that you'll see on a couple of these slides is to refrain from being impatient with people. You guys can see that Activator is not a blue strength, which is blue is relationship building. It's an orange strength, which is influence. So if an Activator is impatient with people, they're going to break down those relationships. And so they need to focus being impatient with the actions or the processes, but not with people. You got to have those people in place for action to actually be taken. Any other thoughts, you guys, on how you have felt that Activators were really helpful or useful on a team that you've been on?
Or Brandy, how about the opposite? How do we, as activators, sometimes we keep going without stopping? What could we do to maybe slow us down to help other people working with activators?
So are you saying you actually want to slow down?
Well, just to we probably can't, but just to be more aware, like you said, sometimes we're not watching. Are we just not going to watch? Because you said we're impatient and they might be disgruntled or they might be we're too intense. How do we help that?
Well, just know that, okay, first of all, because the first thought I had was, to kind of look at each individual, which is really the best thing to do. But honestly, Activator's not found very often. So you can kind of assume that the pushy and the activation and the movement and the motion and the intensity and just moving forward fast, it's uncomfortable for everybody. And what Jack did with us was he told us that up front. He said, this is going to feel uncomfortable. We're going to move faster than you know how to move. And he said, you just got to trust me that every time we're moving and every time we're pivoting, it's for the best. And I'm not kidding you, Mariana, he had us leapfrogging, right? I mean, we're used to it in an organization just moving or linearly stepping or just going in a trajectory. He had us just completely skipping steps and leapfrogging and getting from here to here, because what we were trying to do is we were trying to turn around this company in a very short period of time with a lot of eyes on us. And so we literally skipped full things and said, we were going to do that, but we're just going to skip it now and move on to this other lily pad. And so he just told us up front, this is going to feel uncomfortable. And he also told us, I don't care so much about it being perfect. We're going to make a lot of mistakes, and that's fine. You can tell me about the mistake, but I'm not going to scorn you for it, right? You don't have to wear the scarlet letter over it. It is more of like, good, you made a mistake because you took action instead of just sitting there. And he backed that up. I mean, he would say it, to us, like, this was great. Yeah, there were mistakes made, but we kept moving and look how far we are. And he would actually, be frustrated with the processes that weren't doing that just weren't moving fast enough, that were taking forever to, the finance department was the biggest one. It just wasn't keeping up, and it wasn't getting to where it needed to be fast enough. It was so slow compared to the rest of us of how we were moving. So he kind of like encouraged and acknowledged the fast movers, even if we were making some mistakes and even if we had to pay for them. I mean, there was a mistake that happened in my area that was $18,000 or something, and I went to him, I said, look, this is what we're going to have to do to fix this. We're gonna have to pay this $18,000 to fix this. And sorry. And he's like, it's okay. You saved us $100,000 over here. And I was like, oh, I did. That's right. So he always just said, he really promoted, just keep it moving, keep things going. Even if mistakes happen, that's okay. And he never shook his finger at us for the mistakes, because that would have slowed us down. So I think just giving us the permission to leapfrog and move that fast with him and allow us to know that we weren't going to get in trouble for making mistakes if we were going to move that fast, allowed us to move that fast with him. So maybe there's some things there that we can learn from, right? Like just talking to people about your actual process, which is, we're going to move fast, we're going to make mistakes. It doesn't matter. We just keep moving. It's going to be uncomfortable, but we're just going to keep moving. And we're just going to move faster than we can even keep up with. So we're not going to try to keep up with it. We're just going to, you know, have you guys ever seen the obstacle courses? The Ninja Warrior?
Yes.
And it's like all the barrels and the things that's all moving on them, right? And they just have to keep going and keep their balance. That's what it felt like working for Jack, who was an extreme activator. But it's kind of like learning how to do that. So for me, I'm a learner, so I enjoyed learning how to do that. Now, I think another thing you could do, Mariana, is say, if I'm pushing you too hard, tell me.
Okay.
Because I have found with activators, they don't know when they're pushing too hard. And I've had to say to them, you're pushing me too hard. Like, I push myself. I don't need you pushing me too. You know, I'm good. I know what I'm doing. I know how fast I'm going to do it. I'm moving as fast as I am comfortable with. I'm good. I don't need you pushing me. Go push Slowpoke over here. Don't push me. So just giving them the ability to say that to you, for you to say, I'm going to push you guys, but if I'm pushing you too hard, or if I'm pushing you too fast, where you're actually getting paralyzed or actually not taking action, or you feel bad about it, tell me. So I understand not to push you so hard. What else, guys? What else would you appreciate in working with an activator?
Sounds like they could be very good to work with. Do they cause much turnover or not really?
What do you mean when you say cause turnover?
Well, because they're constantly pushing, do they wear people out?
Yes, they can. Especially just like, let's say an immature activator, right? Someone who just doesn't know how to use their activator effectively. Yeah, they can rub people wrong. And again, it's two reasons. You know, one is other people just aren't wired that way.
Right.
And so they don't understand it. And then two, because of the way it might feel, you know, to them being on the other side of that. See, activators like to be pushed. If you push the activator and you lift them up to challenges and you say, let's go, and say, what are you waiting on? I mean, they lift up to that. That's fun for them, that type of interaction or that type of push. That's not intimidating to them at all. They don't take that personal in some way. Like they enjoy that.
Okay.
So it's hard for them to understand that other people don't enjoy that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking of how we work with clients, that there may be some that you see turnover as a ripple effect, where it may not be anything other than what you're describing.
Yeah, and what would be really bad is if they were activating, but they were also scolding for mistakes or something, right? Because then you're like, I can't win either way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So obviously these are going to be like, what can the activator activate? So with an achiever, an activator can activate getting things done or delivery. With another activator, they're just doubling up on getting things started. With an analytical, they're activating getting the facts and the figures and the data and the sources, you know, whatever they need in order to get things started or to get things going. So they're just going to, let's say, leverage all of these people's abilities or strengths in order to get things started, get things going, get action taken. Okay, so if you are an activator and you are in a relationship with someone, just ask what needs to be actioned. You know, I think that's great, because if the person says, well, we need this and this and this, you know, the person can go at least get those things started, get them going. I think that they're really effective at trying different things in the relationship. And if they don't work, then they just try again. They're persistent. They don't shut down and say, well, that didn't work, so I guess this relationship's not gonna work. Instead, they're like, oh, well, that didn't work. Let me try this. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try this. They'll need somebody in their life that's very forgiving of, you know, someone trying different things and them not working, but just seeing that, oh, they're cycling through that. And so they'll get to the spot where it does work, and then they'll know what works, and then they'll keep taking action on that. But again, that's that messy process, right? It'll be a little bit messy to get to where we're going. I said here, you may consider partnering with someone who appreciates quick resolutions. They're not going to want to stay on something and discuss it and rehash it and it comes back up again. Like that kind of stuff is not going to be enjoyable or fun for them. They won't last long in those environments. They're going to want to just keep moving forward and get resolution and then to move forward, and no grudges, you know, they don't want anything held over their head. They just want to resolve it and move forward. I also put here, before actioning, quickly double check to make sure that what was discussed really needs to be actioned, so that they're not sitting there taking actions on the wrong things and then getting slapped for it, right? And then if we're with an activator, we just really need to be ready for the ride. Go along for the ride. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be action packed. You know, there's just going to be a lot going on, a lot of motion, a lot of momentum. And I think, like, from the person that's in a relationship with the activator, to just, you know, challenge them. Don't hold back on saying, let's get better, let's do this, let's do that, because they just enjoy taking a lot of action. So you don't have to be afraid when you're with someone like that to help them step up. You know, we don't want to say something to our partner that's an activator unless we do really truly want immediate action taken on it. I even working for Jack, it was like, I would tell myself, do not say anything unless you want action taken on this. And I remember one scenario where I just wanted his advice, and that's not what happened. You know, action got taken. I was like, dang it.
That is so right. Like, you're gonna ask for something, just let's fix it. You know, just go.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes, I think, even in relationships where sometimes you're part of the issue, but not the main. And so the other people need to do what they need to do.
Yep.
It's very hard for us to sit back and just say, okay, do you want to fix it?
Very
but
hard.
They're not wanting to take those steps. And I think with my self-assurance, it's just go and see what happens. It's going to be better than what we have now. And I do struggle with that.
And I think you really hit something specific there, Marianne. It's not that they don't want to. Sometimes they just don't know how, or they don't know what the result is going to be. They're afraid. So it's more of like, it's not necessarily they don't want to. It's just, it's intimidating. And for you, it's not intimidating.
That's the one thing that I think I've learned the most with, I think, self-assurance is I don't understand how they just don't do it. You know, but it's not in them. It's not, whatever it is that's in me, it's not in them.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty small percentage of people that have it.
Correct.
So it's very, you know, it's just, I have to really stop and say, okay, hold on. You're asking them to do something like it's easy, and it's not easy for them just because it's easy for me. And I think that's every strength, but that's the one, especially if you're the one pushing and moving and going. I have that as well. Come on, let's go. Let's, whatever happened, you're right. From one thing to the next. If it didn't work, let's do the next one.
Yeah. And one thing you can do is just say, what's making you uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Because if you can hear all the things that are making them uncomfortable, you can help them resolve it. And if they resolve those 5 things that are making them uncomfortable, then they'll feel comfortable moving forward.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. Parents with activator. obviously they're going to be fun, right? They're going to keep things moving. They're going to play with their kids. They're going to help the kids get immediate results or actions, which is, as a child, that's what you want, right? You want an immediate result. And you kind of need that in order to inform your own thinking as a kid. You don't have that long-term thinking developed yet. And so the kids love trying new things and experimenting and, seeing what happens. And so activators make a really fun parent for kids when they're in those phases of trying things out and experimenting and seeing what happens, because they can just go along and do it with them. And I think that they have a huge opportunity to teach their children, no fear and taking actions and seeing what happens. Like, I have deliberative as my number 6. So I think I'm naturally wired to be very safe, secure, conscious. But I had an activator parent who just showed me, like, just go, just take action, just see what happens. You'll inform your thinking. And so, especially like as I've built Strengthology, I just build it. And then if something's not working for somebody, I just immediately go change it. I'm not too worried about the fact that it's not working for somebody. I'll know that if it's not, I'll just fix it immediately. And I think that was just paramount to my success of what I learned from an activator parent. Okay. What if you have a kid who's an activator? We want to throw them into opportunities where their activator is going to be successful. So we don't want to try to have them doing all that detailed high quality assurance stuff. We want them doing things where it is welcome to experiment and to fail and to try again and to see what happens. These are the types of environments that strength is going to be strong and welcome and needed and necessary. So we want to find opportunities for them where they get to use that and have success.
Brandy, from that standpoint, with kids, will it look like ADD?
Could. I
Okay.
I think ideation and activator both could look like ADD.
Okay.
But I don't know much about ADD, but I also think sometimes it's just kids, kids haven't developed the attention span and the long-term thinking as adults have yet. So
I have a daughter who's activator 3.
mm-hmm.
And she has empathy too. So she definitely is a thinker. But she always did things like drama and just really put herself out there and did, because she was also high communications, but she was always the best. Like, you tell her what to do and she did it. Her room was always clean. I need for you to, everything's aligned. And you don't have to tell her more than once. So I don't know.
What were her other strengths?
She's number 1 is communication, 2 is empathy, 3 is activator, 4. Oh, what does she have? 4. I couldn't remember what her 4th one is. Oh, she has woo as her 5th one. I'm trying to think what her other one is.
None of those are really super detailed organized.
And I don't know if it was just her get it done, maybe.
But I'm wondering what her other ones were, because I think she has something else playing in there.
I probably have I can look it up while you're talking.
But if you guys think about that, her daughter is activating winning people over. She's activating emotion or feelings, and that could be like taking on the drama stuff, if you're taking action on the emotions or wanting to. So a lot of people who go into drama or acting have empathy because they want to take on the emotions and they want to get them on the screen for other people to enjoy. She's obviously going to activate communication.
She's a maximizer. That's her.
She's maximizing all these things, which is the perfectionist strength. But that's interesting because she's, more maximizing activation or maximizing communication or maximizing woo or maximizing empathy. We still haven't heard that she's maximizing like organization or discipline.
Which is interesting. I don't have her 40. I mean,
Oh, okay.
34. I don't have a 34. I just have her 5 year.
Yeah, because it sounds like she might have something like a ranger or discipline or consistency or even focus would result in a little bit of organization. So maybe she's something in her top 10 that.
I want to say she does have a ranger in her top 10.
Yeah, that could be.
Because I have a ranger and which I remember talking to her about that.
Gotcha. Okay, if you're a leader, obviously go for those opportunities where you can work with startups or really challenging situations or turnaround situations. And then as you are leading, you definitely can not only just know what needs to be done next, but you can communicate that with everybody else so that they understand what they need to be doing and what steps they need to take. And I think as a leader, it's very important to identify, it's important to communicate to your teammates what you expect to have action taken on immediately versus later, because and I know Jack would do that for me. He'd say, look, I need action taken on this, but this isn't something that needs to be done right now. Of course, me knowing that he's an activator, I went and got it done right away because I knew he liked that and respected that. And it made him feel secure to know that it was getting done right away. But I think that's important because maybe there's a lot of other things going on and they need to know what the expectation is if that thing needs to be done right now immediately or if it can be done later.
I think one of the things I struggle with is I think everything needs to be done right away.
Yes.
So I have to put down in my task. I have to tell my boss, so when do you need this? Because I could go to my desk right now.
Yes. That's right.
And sometimes I drop other things because I think something's a little bit more interesting to do. So you can drop some other things that are like, oh, let me check my email. I really need to respond, and where it's not a plan or a project that I could go in and start. So
yeah, and I think all of us have to do we have to come up with some way, right, where we have everything that goes somewhere, and then we use that tool, whatever mechanism it is. It can be a software tool, it can be a calendar, it can be whatever it is. But we do have to be able to say, what is the most important thing? And we need to do that thing, even if it takes longer than some of the other things, because the most important thing is most important. And we got to figure out how we define most important. And then we do have to have the level of flexibility where things can shift around. And then sometimes the priority is, well, I don't feel good right now, so let me just get something done. So let me get the thing done I want to get done because I don't feel good. And at other times it's like, no, this thing has a deadline and it has to be done. So that's the most important thing. And so on and so forth. I think that even changes, right? Like day to day, what is actually the most important thing based on, a lot of other factors, which is, legal implications, the respect we're trying to gain among our colleagues and our, in our relationships that are close to us, how we're feeling that day. Like there's just a lot of different things. But if you don't have a process around that, you really should sit down and think about, everybody should think about how they best do that in order to get the best results for themselves. It's important. Okay, if we're managing an activator, we got to give them challenging work. We got to keep them on the next steps. We got to stay ahead of them. We got to say, this is what you're doing now. This is what you're going to be doing. I need you to break this up. I need you to work on this. Here's the promotion you're getting. Here's what you're going to be responsible for next. Like, we just have to keep them moving and we have to stay in motion with them. Otherwise, like I said, they can turn really negative and they can just fall off and go somewhere else where they can take a lot more action and get more things moving. I've worked with an activator who was stunted, just completely suffocated. And she just got angry by the end of it. She was angry and upset and frustrated and just, ready to just quit and she ended up moving to a different company, of course, because she was just so frustrated. So that's what you don't want. Okay, so when I'm coaching activators, I really try to go, okay, what's your pace? When do you want to meet? It's better for us to usually meet more often than less because they'll get distracted doing other things. So it's like just keeping up on them. And constantly saying, okay, what's next? Okay, got that done. What's next? Okay, got that done. What's next? And just, finding opportunities where they can use that activation, where they can get things started, get things going, turnaround situations where they're challenged, just helping them really identify where they can best use that activation strength to do, to get the results that they want to get and keep them entertained. And then if you are an activator and you're coaching, you got to have patience with your clients, obviously, but you have that ability to say, okay, what are the next steps that you need to be taking? And then giving them that little nudge and influence that they need to actually take the steps to move forward. They may not like it in the interim, but in the end, they'll say, thank God you got me doing that. Thank God you nudged me. Thank God you pushed me. Didn't feel good, but I was able to take steps towards this, which I've never done before. And these are the types of things activators should be able to do every single day. Some nice careers for them. Anything else you guys think should go on this list? Where it's all about getting stuff started?
I'm in PR and marketing, so we're constantly trying to create new ideas on how to share our story.
PR is pretty good, right? Because it's constantly new stuff. Any good books you guys would recommend to activators? I think they'll love the books Turn the Ship Around and The Lean Startup, which both of them embrace. Turn the Ship Around is really how to turn a situation that's bad. This was on a submarine that's not working into something that works. So that one's great. And then The Lean Startup is kind of their methodology of just taking action and learning from it and not worrying about mistakes, but just taking the action to keep things moving forward and working with customers to see what the customer likes. Anything else?
I tend to read how-to books, like how-to. I think that's the learner part, but the action, I'm currently utilizing the Well-Being at Work book. It just came out from Gallup, but even within our own group, like within our own team, just to check on wellness and things like that, and just activating that piece of it and getting people involved in that.
Would you say, is there any books that you just, when you think about it, you go, God, that one really allowed me to understand how to effectively use this activation piece of my personality?
There's a book that I read a while back and I always go back to. It's called Leading Change. And it just talks about how to change, like whether it's, when I actually purchased it, when I actually read it, we were trying to shift a culture, within something. So it's called Leading Change by Cotter. And that is, it gives you steps, which is again, the kind of book that I like to read. And it tells you how to, first, you have to make a team. It's really step oriented on there. And really it's an old book. It's from a long time ago, but if you're trying to change something, either a culture or a way, and how you have to establish a coalition and you have to celebrate wins and how you continue changing, that's a book that I really like. Because it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. If you're trying to do something different in your team that hadn't been done before, it's a perfect book.
Okay, awesome. I've added that one. Okay, as always, lots of ways to take the assessment. If you haven't taken it already, lots of languages to take it in. You can download the app on your phone And you can sign up for Strengthology Insights. You just go to www.strengthology.co. It's $12. You can put your strengths in there and get all kinds of different insights. I did recently add the career options to that, so you can see those now. You can go out to my YouTube channel. It's just under Strengthology, or you can even go to Gallup's YouTube channel to get more information. There's lots of books that Gallup has written as well. 10% of everything I do goes to Operation Underground Railroad. And then here's my contact information. Any other remaining questions about Activator?
Thank you.
Welcome.
I promise we're not trying to be mean.
No, not at all. You just love motion, love movement, love activating. It's fun, it's energetic. Okay, next week is belief. So we'll see you guys all next week to talk about belief. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it, everyone.
Thank you, Brandy.
Welcome.
Thanks, Brandy.
Welcome. Have a wonderful Monday.
You too.
Thank you.